What's going on, everyone? The Dallas Mavericks are on life support right now. They are in just such a bad spot. They currently sit in the 11th seed. They are on a 2-game losing streak after losing the Miami Heat yesterday. They are a full game back from just being in the 10th seed as the play-in. They are 3 games, 2.5 games, 3 games from being in the 7th or 8th spot. Doesn't look good for Dallas. Dallas very likely is going to miss the play-in entirely, let alone getting to the playoffs. You can almost forget the playoffs at this point. They're very likely not even going to reach the play-in, which is crazy because they are a team that was just in the Western Conference Finals. They lose Brunson, which was a bit of an impact. And then they go and get Kyrie Irving, and it's been a disaster. They haven't been able to win. They can't get anything done. They're on the road against the Atlanta Hawks, which they're probably going to lose to Atlanta. And then they got to go play the Kings. And then they got to play the Bulls, who are fighting for seeding and trying to get into the playoffs. And then they got the gimme game against the Spurs to wrap up the season. But they're basically another loss away from just missing the play-in entirely. And who knows what's going to happen. The whole idea of going and getting Kyrie Irving was to get Luka another star, and it just hasn't worked out. Granted, they haven't had a bunch of sample size games to really figure it out. Not just that, the team is not very good defensively. They're like 26th in the league defensively. It might even be worse now because they just gave up 129 points. They're just not a very good team. Now, the Kyrie Irving trade wasn't so much just for this year. It was for going forward, right? You got Kyrie, you got Luka, you got your 2 pieces. Now let's build a team around them that can compete for championships, right? You got the scoring aspect, you got the playmaking aspect, you got everything you need. Okay, let's go get some defenders, let's go get some 3-and-D guys, go get a center, all that stuff, right? Put the pieces together. Kind of like the Phoenix Suns, but the Phoenix Suns are just much more ahead, right? Phoenix Suns, they go get Kevin Durant. It's not just for this season. It's like you got Kevin Durant, you got Chris Paul, you got Ayton, you got Devin Booker. You can use Ayton as a trade piece to go get depth. If not, you can keep him. You just need a bunch of vet minimum defensive guys. Go get a bunch of like Stanley Johnsons and Mo Harkless and guys like that. Guys that are just big wings that are known for defense. Even if they can't score a lick, you don't need it, right? You got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Ayton, right? You got more than enough. Kind of same with Dallas, right? Got Kyrie, you got Luka, you got the scoring you need. You keep Dem Hardaway, like you're good, right? You got the scoring. Go get some defensive guys. Go kind of shape this team. But does Kyrie stay? Now Dallas can offer him the most money, but does he look at this and go like, look, I can't get to the play-in. Luka, he doesn't seem happy. It's an absolute mess. And he ends up departing. Yes, they would have a full max slot, but there's nobody to sign. And and there's no free agents that are going to turn Dallas around. And so how long does Luka want to stick around before he just says, I'm done, I want out? I mean, there's already rumors and questions and things coming out about Luka potentially asking and requesting a trade in the offseason. Dallas, they're not really in the best position to go and put this like super team around him to all of a sudden compete for championships. There's still a lot of questions with Luka, right? Is he a guy that can actually play with another star? He is so insanely ball dominant and just has the ball constantly. And yes, he passes and makes plays and stuff like that, but he's the guy that's just so used to playing a very specific way. It takes a very specific player to play alongside him, right? Like, I think Kevin Durant would be perfect, right? Because Luka can dominate the ball. Kevin Durant can go get you 40 on 10 shots and super efficient, super effective. But realistically, Kevin Durant's not coming through the door, right? Like Kyrie, he shot 10 of 17 from the field and gave you 23 points. Like, if he's not having a great shooting night, he's not going to be able to go get you 30. Like, that's the problem. Like, you look at like all the other guys, it's Luka giving you 40 a game. Kyrie chips in, 20 to 30. And then there's the bulk of your offense. One other guy will get you like 15, and then there you go, right? That's your offense. Problem is you can't stop anybody. And I don't see a simple fix in the next year or so that's going to put Dallas in a position to contend. And you have all these teams that have gotten better, right? The Phoenix Suns are going to be better for sure next year. You got the Kings who have really, are going to just, you'd imagine, be better and take another step next season. They're a really good team that are young, that are together for the next several seasons. So they would only get better. The Grizzlies are still going to be good. The Nuggets are going to be good. The Clippers, do they retool? What do they do? They're in a weird situation, but they're usually pretty good. The Warriors have a ton of young guys that they could package together to go get another piece or two and all of a sudden be the best team in the West again. The Lakers have been one of the best teams in the league since the trade on both sides of the ball. Timberwolves have been dealing with injuries all season. So how does that look? Utah surprised everybody. They've kind of just packed it in instead of trying to compete for a play-in spot. They've just said, hey, let's kind of sit guys, let guys stay out, let's shut some guys down and try to tank for a draft pick. But they're probably going to be better next year. I mean, you have the Thunder, right? The Thunder have been great. They haven't even had Chet, and they're probably going to get a decent draft pick. I mean, you're talking 10 to 12 teams in the West that are all going to be very good and likely better next season. And Dallas might be just as bad, if not worse. And it's just, does Luka just say, I can't win with these guys, and now he's requesting a trade? And if so, what kind of return are you going to get? Because you'd imagine you're going to get some insane return for Luka for Dallas, right? You would think so. Luka's one of the best players in the league. He's extremely young. You'd imagine he's only going to get better, very likely. Does he improve and pick up his game? I mean, he is a very good, well-rounded guy, period. But it's just, okay, let's say you get 5 or 6 first-round picks and you get like 2 young pieces, right? Like, would the Celtics give you like Jaylen Brown and some draft picks and, maybe Robert Williams or something like that? Like, could you do something like that and give up Luka? Say, Celtics give you like 3 or 4 first-round picks, give you Jaylen Brown and give you, like let's say Robert Williams or something like that to kind of retool. Like, if you're Dallas, do you say no to that? Like, I know it's Luka, and I get he's 24 and he's incredible, but there's just a lot of questions with him still. And does he really want to be there? Right? Luka gets to go and play with Tatum, right? Like, that could be interesting. Do the Thunder, right? They got a bunch of young assets and pieces and draft picks, and I mean, they could put together an insane young package if you wanted to rebuild and retool. I mean, would they give you Chet, right? Like, maybe you could get Chet and a couple pieces to go do that. Like, if the Thunder can keep SGA, you have SGA and Luka, like, that would be a really good team, right? I mean, you have a ton of options and opportunity here. No, like, does Dallas look at it? Like, if Luka wants to be traded, does Dallas say, you know what? That might not be the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, it sounds bizarre, but it really doesn't when you really think about it. It's something that could really happen. Mark Cuban, he loves these guys, right? Like, he's a player owner, right? He's a guy that loves the players that play for his franchise and his organization. And he's always speaking very highly of Luka, and he believes Luka's the best player in the league. But, I don't know how Dallas is going to be able to turn this around. I don't know how Dallas is going to be able to keep Luka long term. You got to hope that Luka says, hey, I want to, I'll stay. I'm fine with staying. I'm fine with riding it out for 2-3 years, because that's probably what it's going to take, at least, if not longer. And we've seen situations like this. I mean, LeBron in Cleveland, right? Like, they just couldn't and wouldn't put the pieces around LeBron. He ends up leaving, and then he had to come back in order for them to do that. And you already hear Luka talking about how, he's just not having fun anymore, and he's losing his smile, and blah, 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 blah. It's just a bad situation all around for Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. And I don't see a fix. I don't see a way to kind of get them figured out. It's a really rough spot. And, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Luka is, in the offseason, we hear Kyrie's bailing and Luka wants a trade, and I mean, if Luka wants out, like, what do you trade? Do you try to sign and trade Kyrie, right? And get some assets for Kyrie? I mean, do you do that, period? right? Like, does Kyrie even want to stay? And if Kyrie wants to leave, does Luka say, like, could that be the factor? Does Kyrie say, like, hey, like, I might as well be the third guy on this team, right? Like, I want to go elsewhere. Or does he really solely care about the money, right? Like, what's going to happen with the Lakers? I mean, we've heard conversations still. Does Dallas trade him to the Lakers for like D'Angelo Russell and Beasley or something like that, right? And then both first, just to recoup some assets. Maybe Dallas could do something like that. Maybe trade Kyrie to the Lakers and then use the Lakers assets plus whatever assets they have to maybe go get another star. Does another star, become available in the offseason, right? Does like Jaylen Brown, right? That's something that's worth a conversation. There's talks about Jaylen Brown potentially wanting out, but does he wants to be the guy? Does he go to Dallas and want to be a second fiddle to Luka? Right? When he's already kind of like the second fiddle or 1A, 1B to Jason Tatum. What position do you get put into? Like, is there a way to fix this? I don't know. It's very interesting. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts, opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Dallas is in trouble? Do you think Luka's going to want out? Do you want Luka to want out? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.